Hey, I am back. I'm back. I I want to address something. I'm gonna call this video Embrace Your Emotions. And the reason why I wanted to make this is because I was called to make this. Well, you know, growing up, we're always taught that feeling all of your emotions, being emotional about something, being vulnerable about something, crying about things, and these things are wrong. These things signify weakness. That's how we're taught, at least, that, oh, you cry, you're so weak, you feel too much. There's that type of shaming as well that goes with someone. If someone's an empath and if you're feeling everything, everybody's everything, in the physical and the non-physical, then you're also called like, oh, you're so sensitive. Well, the honest thing is, if someone's feeling everything, it only means they're connected with things for a reason. Now, why I'm calling this video Embrace Your Emotions is because we are always taught to run from our emotions. Probably growing up or something, you wouldn't have been taught to sit there and confront yourself or your emotions, and then uh, you know sorry about that. I was saying, if growing up or any time in life we were not taught to like sit down and confront what we feel, rather we've always been taught of our emotions as weaknesses, our emotions as ignorance. People usually were we were taught of a lot of things. We were taught about manners, we were taught about discipline, we were taught about this, the rights and the wrongs, but no one, probably not everyone, but in a lot of things, this again depends on the cultures. This depends on the geographical regions and the households and the culture we're born into, the and all of that. But when you start running away from your emotions, as you start growing up and you start moving further away from these emotions, and when there's a situation for you to actually face, you feel so confused, you feel so bad. It does not, it shouldn't be happening. For example, what I mean is, if you were a child that was really sensitive and people said, oh, you're so weak, let go of this certain feeling or this certain emotion that you're feeling, because it does not serve anyone any good, so you better let it go. And also, sometimes if you're made fun of saying you feel too much or things like, basically you're never taught to sit down and say, I feel sadness. Now, no one taught you to be like, oh, you feel sad. Why do you feel sad? Sit down and think about what are the things that's making you feel sad. Because if you started looking at why you feel a certain way, a certain emotion, you would see how the patterns around you, how the people around you, how your environment, your atmosphere, everything is affecting and shaping your personal reality. And you just cannot run from your emotions, because we run from things. When something, a certain emotion within us starts troubling us, we start running from it. And probably the best thing to do is not to run, because we are not kids anymore. We should be able to sit down, confront ourselves, and be like, this is a certain thing I feel, so why do I feel this? Or if you, and especially in relationships, there's no running away from what you feel. You must sit there and embrace what you feel. And also there's this thing that when you feel something with so much intensity in your heart, if you feel like you're not feeling good, if you feel unwell, if you feel all of these things emotionally, it's almost like you, as a society, as people, as human beings on this planet, we're programmed this way to just choose a quick response and, like, like exit out of it. But then that creates almost a void within you. What I mean is I'm going to give you an example if this is going to help you, right? Imagine this is an emotion. Now, you don't want to confront it. The only way, let's say, to the other side is for you to confront this, but you won't confront this. Now, you're trying to run in all directions. What happens is, if you haven't felt your emotion completely, if you haven't given yourself the time to feel the sadness, if you haven't given yourself the time to feel what that certain emotion is teaching you, when you're in a different situation, this certain emotion that you haven't addressed, this certain thing that you haven't experienced will come up for you to solve and heal. So there's no running away. Look, running away from your emotion means running away from yourself. And the more you run away from yourself, the more you run away from your heart, the more you run away from your soul, you completely start to ignore the guidance of your heart. You will not be connected to the source of light. Let's say, for example, someone felt something so horrible in their life. Let's say someone had to let go of a certain person, or even better, let's say if someone had a failed relationship, that's around a lot, so that's easy to address. A failed emotion, and if you had to let go of that, if that situation broke you so much, and you were like, I'm gonna remain strong, I am going to just move through it, and the next day you show up wherever you have to show up, to work, to school, wherever, being like nothing happened to you, that is called toxic positivity. Because it's not positive to just fall, be wounded, and just ignore your wounds, because unhealed wounds can hurt even bad if it's not taken care of, if it's not paid attention to. It's going to hurt you. It is toxic positivity to say, I'm dying here today, but tomorrow I have something to, do that does not mean a lot to me, but I'm still going to do that. The first thing that should come to your mind is to care for yourself. When you have had a broken heart, you must, if you feel that horrible feeling, address it, be in that, take that period to feel all that you feel. You might feel happy, sad, you may go into that vortex of feeling bad and low, but that's fine. Sit with it, and unless you have given that certain emotion the time to heal, if you do not sit and address what you feel, it's going to hurt you in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different situations, with a lot of different people. You will see this one pattern if you have not addressed it, if you have not healed it, if you have not learned from it. You will see this one thing come up in different ways, in different aspects, different situations, different relationships in your life. That should tell you a lot right now. Once again, giving you an example, if you had a bad relationship, if you did not heal from it, and you jumped into the next one not understanding why it failed, or why you felt such horrible feeling in your heart, but you just right away jumped into a different one. Still, when you were feeling so vulnerable, it only means that your next relationship is going to fail you as well, because you have not addressed that situation within yourself. Now you are seeking someone else, another person, for you to be in a relationship with. That person will come and give you the healing and fill that space that you feel, fill that emptiness. That's never going to happen. You will feel the same thing. That's why we call it codependency, toxic positivity, and abandonment issues, childhood trauma. All of these are obviously psychological terms as well as they're spiritual things. These are real things. You must not be, if you are an adult, then do not encourage the younger generation to ignore everything they feel. The least you could offer is sit down and offer your compassion. If you do not understand it, just offer compassion or give them their own time. Give them an idea that they can actually figure things out. If you cannot do anything, that's the least you could do. You know, as I say, in this society, in this matrix, in this programming, where thought to always run away, run away. You do a 9 to 5 job, you come home exhausted, you want to ignore your heart, you want to ignore your heart space while paying attention to the work. These are real things. Sound silly, right? You might think, how does somebody working all day feel so far away from their hearts? Because the truth is, if they felt so happy within themselves, they would never choose something that they don't like. A 9 to 5 job, a relationship, a place, existence of some type that they don't like, they won't choose it. But if that's happening, then you just can't run away from yourself. The first prime thing we always hear in the society is hard work, success. There are a lot of people that prioritize these things first and keep the most natural human nature for the last. Say, for example, compassion, love, kindness. These things come at the end sometimes. People are always wanting to prioritize the monetary and the materialistic aspect of life first. I know this personally, a lot of people do this. The most basic human instinct, the most basic human nature that comes to us naturally should be prioritized first. If someone falls, your first instinct should be to, I'm so sorry about that noise outside. Your first instinct should be to lift them up, not to be like, I will do that after a certain thing is done. There's no escaping from your own emotions. The more you escape from your own emotions, the more you start to dismantle, unlearn the patterns that you must. Things, you have so much freedom when you address something. Let's say since childhood you blamed yourself for something and you're not understanding it, you're just ignoring it all the time. What if one day you sat down, you addressed it, and then you came to a beautiful conclusion that none of what you were blaming yourself for years and years together was actually never your fault? And that's just it. It takes a moment of realization, it takes a moment of confronting your emotions to feel that freedom within you. Once again, I'm hoping all of this makes sense to you, and I'm sending you much love.